At this point in time, we'll open up the new ceremony for the new city commission. This is the 2018 swearing-in ceremony. Let me first thank everyone that came today. We have a nice crowd here at Parker Playhouse. I want to thank Parker Playhouse for opening up their facility to us. And I want to recognize the Broward Center for the Performing Arts and their board, and of course the leadership of that, Kelly Shanley. Kelly's back there. Kelly, thank you so much. You think about where we were 20 years ago and now where we are today, and now with Parker Playhouse and War Memorial and the Broward Center for the Performing Arts and the various theaters over there. You all have done remarkable work, and Kelly, thank you for sharing it with us today. At this time, let me ask the audience to stand, and we're going to have the presentation of colors by the Fort Lauderdale Police Department Honor Guard. At this point in time, I'm going to ask 9-year-old Daniel Font Willits of the Florida Children's Theater to come up and please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Daniel. And Daniel, I'm gonna ask you to stay up here and stand alongside the honor guard for a moment, and I'm gonna have Hannah Elowitz of the Florida Children's Theater come up and perform our national anthem. Hannah?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Actually, don't go far. I'm gonna ask you to hold on the colors. I'm gonna ask Hannah and Daniel to step back up here, because I know they're not unfamiliar to this stage. And certainly with that talented voice and the way Daniel conducted himself doing a pledge, how about another round of applause for these two? Just a beautiful rendition. And this time, let me invite the Reverend Dr. Darrell Watkins, the Senior Minister of Sunshine Cathedral, to please come up and deliver this morning's invocation.
Please join me in the spirit of prayer. God of our various understandings, we are grateful for our beautiful city and for those who wish to be good stewards of it. We are thankful today for the democratic process and civic engagement, for the rule of law and the peaceful transition of leadership, and for those who answer the call to serve the common good. We realize that history has been made with this mayoral election, and for that, our hearts are glad. We are also mindful today that there are, even in our wonderful city, those who feel neglected or marginalized, those whose resources are limited, those who struggle to find their way. May they discover in our city care, opportunity, and paths to success, hope, and well-being. We pray for our city's leaders. May they find joy in their service, and may their constituents thrive. We pray especially today for our new mayor. We wish Mayor Trantalis success in his continued public service, and we wish for our city to flourish under his leadership. We also wish the mayor good health, happiness, and wisdom. Grant him these blessings and many more. And finally, we pray also for the citizens of Fort Lauderdale, that we may seek to be our best, to live lives of generosity, optimism, goodwill, and compassion, and that we may recognize and affirm the innate dignity of all people. We offer these prayers this morning in the name of all that we hold sacred. Receive our prayers kindly and respond to them with abundant grace. Amen.
This time, I'll ask our honor guard to please retire the colors. Thank you. You may be seated. Let me also take a second and again thank Reverend Dr. Darrell Watkins, who does such a great job out at the Sunshine Cathedral, and please give him a round of applause for that invocation. And we are going to go through a few remarks for some outgoing commissioners, and then we will do the swearing in for the new. But I would ask, before we go further, as I saw the flag leave the stage, and you recognize that we're able to gather here in friendship and fellowship and to celebrate elections and to have a transition in a democratic system because of the men and women who serve our country. So if you are a veteran, please rise so we can thank you here this morning. Those men and women allow us to gather, so we very much appreciate it. This time, let me ask if any outgoing commissioner has any remarks they'd like to share, and I'll start with Romney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't want to take too long, so I've written it down. It's usually easier to follow when you write it down, but it has been a true privilege and honor to serve this city. I've met so many new neighbors along the way, and we have certainly gotten into a lot of dialogue about a lot of different things. And I really appreciate all the mutual goals that we were always able to come together on. So thank you, neighbors, for putting your trust in me and to allowing me to serve this great city. I also like to start with the obvious and thank my beautiful bride, Candace, who has put up with me. He's put up with me coming home at the wee hours of the morning and working on weekends to prepare for commission meetings. I love you more than you'll ever know, and I certainly look forward to spending more time with you. I want to thank MJ, who is my trusted assistant. She's certainly done for our neighbors through all these years more than I could ever ask. And I am so happy that Ben Sorensen had enough gumption to keep her on. And I want to thank all our charter officers, Lee and Cynthia, John and Jeff. Each of you have made me a better commissioner, and I appreciate your service and service to our city. Chris and Stanley and all the department heads and their staff have been amazing to work with. I think all of you will agree. Lee, you've been a 24/7 manager, and I thank you for that. You have a great team, and I wish all of you only the best. To Dean, my table mate here. First of all, congratulations again. I've enjoyed our time together on the commission. I trust that your new role as mayor will lead us with a steady hand, and that you will use the intelligence and the creativity that you've been blessed with. And remember, I won't be here to kick you under the table. So make sure you keep our city moving in the right direction. Robert, I didn't get to go to grade school with you, but I feel like I've known you forever, and that's a good thing. It was a pleasure watching you work so hard for your district, but never losing sight of what was the best interest of the city. You're a good man, and I've enjoyed serving with you. I wish Bruce was here so I could tell him this personally, but you all heard why he's not. And I have so much respect for him. It was so comforting to know when it came to public safety and his insight and experience that it was something you could go to the bank on. And that was so important to our city, as you all know. Now moving to the man in the middle there. John P. Jack Seiler, the only man I know with quotation marks around his name. But here's what's important. I hope that you and everyone else recognize when I read a city resolution, and it was always signed by you as mayor, that I always called you the Honorable. I hope you recognize why, okay? That's not something that everybody can carry. Obviously, you've earned it, and I so much appreciate the leadership that you have shown. You have earned every piece of the way, every step of the way. You have shown in these last 9 years what it takes to be a strong leader. Your public service to this community for the last 25 years has been amazing. And I want you to know, whatever you decide to pursue next in public service arena, other than your mother, I am going to be your biggest cheerleader. And last but not least, okay, whatever team you choose to be on in the future, I want to play for that team. You are a great community builder, and I'm proud to serve with you. Lastly, to our newly elected commission, I congratulate each of you again and want to pass on the same advice I was given by a community builder when I took office 9 years ago. Hold in high esteem the public trust that you've been charged with. Work hard every day to uphold the highest standards of ethics and integrity, and call on those who are there to help you along the way, starting with the big man upstairs. And give it the best you've got. Serve with a servant's heart, and don't look back. So thank you again, Fort Lauderdale, for giving me the opportunity to serve. I gave it everything I had and tried to fulfill the mission of making Fort Lauderdale the greatest place to live, work, play, worship, visit, raise a family, and the city you never want to leave. So may God bless you. May God bless our great city. And I'm going to Disney World.
What Romney didn't tell you is he's taking those 2 new grandchildren to Disney World. That's so I've been told that both Commissioner McKenzie and Commissioner Trantalis want to hold their remarks for after the swearing in. So I will give some brief remarks, and it's really just remarks of being thankful and grateful to an amazing team, to an amazing city, to an amazing group of neighbors. And I'll start with the same thing that Romney talked about, family. You know, I have been very blessed to have a wife and 4 kids that have supported me. I first got elected March 12th of 1993, and I haven't been out of office since. And during that time, my oldest child had just been born, and my other 3 had not yet been born. So 28 years of marriage and 25 plus have been spent in public service. I want to thank my wife and my 3 daughters and my son who have supported me every step of the way in this process and allowed me to serve. Because if anybody believes that you can serve without the support of your family and friends, you're crazy. And I think every one of these newly elected officials tell you the same thing. It all starts at home, and it starts with the family supporting you and allowing you to step up and serve. So thanks first to the family. Secondly, speaking of family, I'm going to thank this city commission. This city commission and the city commission I've had the chance to serve with over the last 9 years. And it's during that time, we also had Charlotte Rodstrom as part of this city commission family. We also had Bobby DeBose as part of this city commission family. And now you look and you realize that, you know, now we leave with this family. And it's a family that we've had good times together. We've had some tough times together. We've had good debates, we've had good discussions, but I think we've always showed respect for each other, and I think we've always respected each other in the process, and that's so important as we move forward as a civilized society, that we can have this discussion, debate, disagreements, but do it in a respectful and dignified way. So I'll start with this family, and on the city commission, I wish Bruce was here too, but as I said, I actually spoke to him last night from the hospital and had a chance to express how I felt about him, but you know, you talk about a gentleman, 35 years with our police department, the last 6 as chief of police, 9 years on our city commission, the last year as the vice mayor, a gentleman that never, ever wavered in terms of supporting what our public safety professionals do, a tremendous leader of our police, tremendous supporter of our fire department and our first responders, and a guy, as Romney mentioned, we always went to on issues of security, policing, community policing, and things of that nature. A gentleman that has had public service in his blood for 43 years. I want to publicly thank Bruce Roberts for his service. To my left, and for those that miss Romney's joke, Robert McKenzie and I went to grade school together. People find that amazing that here we are 40 years later, or maybe a little more than 40 years later, just a tad. But I first met Robert just a few blocks from here at St. Anthony Catholic School in downtown Fort Lauderdale. We were playing basketball together, we were playing football together, we were playing sports. He was one tough guy back then, and he still is a tough guy today, and a guy that I love having sitting by my side at any meeting, because he understands what it takes from an energy standpoint, from an enthusiasm standpoint, and from a hard-working standpoint. Nobody's going to outwork this gentleman to my left in terms of making a difference. And I think what he has done, not just in his district, but in our city, recognizing that you're a city commissioner, not a district commissioner. You represent your district, but you serve the city. And Robert, you have been a tremendous leader and a great friend, and I want to thank you for your service over the years. So Romney Rogers, you know, I talk about timing, but to have the good fortune to serve with a guy that at one time or another, he has been the head of the chamber, he has been the head of the oldest law firm in Fort Lauderdale, he has been the head of his church down the road where he has served as one of the lead deacons and leads the search committee. And then that's just the stuff he does publicly. Privately, you won't meet a guy of higher moral character, greater integrity, and just a better all-around person. I just serving with him, with his family, getting to know his wife, Candace, who's just as nice a woman as you'll ever meet, as kind a woman as you'll ever meet, and probably helped her get, Romney better clap for that, that's true. But she is a saint. Now, I always thought, I said, what a great wife for Romney. And now all of a sudden I say, what a fantastic grandmother for those grandkids, because she is just special. But the whole Rogers family, the legacy of service, the legacy of building community, I've been blessed to serve with you, and it's been a real honor. So thank you, Romney, for what you've done. And the gentleman to my right, who will be soon be becoming the mayor of Fort Lauderdale, I'll tell you what was kind of nice when Dean came back. This is a guy that had served before, and I've said this a dozen times in a dozen different public settings, but there was no learning curve. And that's an incredible lesson, because Dean is a gentleman that has served in office, he's run for office, but he always stepped up. And I admired that from day one, that Dean was a guy, it didn't matter if it was an elected position, it didn't matter if it was a leadership position, it didn't matter if it was a GLBT position or an equality or a law firm or legal issue, Dean stepped up. He wasn't somebody that was just going to talk about what was wrong. He always was talking about, let's fix it. And I've admired that in Dean going back to the early 2000s time frame when he first served on the city commission and did so much in terms of equal rights here in Broward County. And then to see you now serve in this capacity, and I think the first time around, you served the district extremely well. I think this time you even stepped it up a notch. I think the experience and the expertise and the talent that you can bring, the ability to communicate, allowed your district to have a voice and allowed many in this community to have a voice. And it's been an honor to serve with Dean. It's been an honor to work with Dean. And as we move forward, I will be here to assist if you need me. I will be here for advice, but only if asked. I'll mention that now. I've done this through 11 elections, and I've never once commented on anybody that ever succeeded me unless they reached out for some sort of input, because I tell you what, Dean is more than well prepared and more than deserving, and he has earned this seat as mayor, and I just want to thank you for your service to the city. Congratulations. Just a few more thank yous, but going on with that city staff, I want to thank the charter officers. And we've had a team that's been here. Two have moved on. John DeJoseph served as a clerk when we first came in, but served us well. Harry Stewart served as our city attorney. I'll tell you, Harry, another guy that served us well. I loved having Cynthia, but I missed some of the quotes from Harry at some time when things got late and things were dragging, and Harry would say, "You can't put lipstick on that pig," or why would you wake that baby just to hear it cry? I think back to Harry Stewart, and I'm thinking, wow. But, you know, Cynthia came in with her own style and her own work ethic and assembled a great team. So I want to start by thanking Cynthia Everett for your advice and guidance throughout the last couple years, as well as your team. You've assembled a great team of lawyers, and I'd be happy to have any member of your team in my law firm because it's a talented group. So thank you. To Jeff Montarelli, when we elevated him to clerk, everybody was uncertain. Was he ready for the job? And I'll tell you what, was he ever ready? This gentleman just stepped up, and I give him credit too for one or two additional things. Not only was he ready for the job, nailed it, did a wonderful job as clerk, but if he ever did something wrong, he was the first one to tell you. And I think everybody up here knows that. You'd get a phone call from him saying, "Hey, Mayor, I published this thing in reverse order. I got a spelling error." And I said, that's a great partner to have, a guy that will come and say in advance, "I made a mistake." None of the mistakes were ever of any substance, but he's that type of guy. That's the character of Jeff Montarelli, always quick to acknowledge. And thank you, Jeff, for your incredible service. John Herbst. Now, for those that have no idea who John Herbst is, because you've watched TV all these years, you see a guy at the end of the thing, he looks stoic the whole meeting. People always ask me, is that a mannequin or is that actually your auditor? You know what, folks? He has been incredible. He has been our auditor. He has been our watchdog. He has been our inspector general. He has been the gentleman that we bounce the numbers off of, that we crunch the numbers with. And he has been one of the finest guys I've ever worked with. His mind is so quick. And the advice he's given me, not just on these items, but when we've been in Washington, D.C. in negotiations with Congress, or we've been in the White House, and he's been on my side. And people always say, why is he auditor? I said, because this is the guy you want who can point out all the defects and the flaws early on and fix them before they ever come back to bite us. John, you have been a true professional and a great friend. Thank you. And the last one up here on this, and certainly not least, is I think the hardest working city manager anywhere, nationally recognized by the ICMA. A 24/7 city manager, just again, served as the International City Manager Association head last year, and you could text him at 2 in the morning or at 4 in the morning and he'd respond. You could call him at any time and he'd respond, and he's become a great friend. But I'll tell you what, the city has been in great hands because of Lee Feldman's work ethic, his intelligence, and his ability to just build community. So Lee, thank you for your friendship and leadership. Appreciate it. It was touched on briefly, but our city commission staff, and I'll start, we had Maxine sing. Where's Maxine? Maxine, please stand. This is, this young lady, as well as Sophia, my aide, and Sophia's been with me. She was with the mayor before for 10 years. She's been with me for the last 9. Both Sophia and Maxine were so incredible in terms of providing support, in terms of getting stuff done, in terms of just being great team builders. And I think they kept great camaraderie around the city commission chambers when things weren't always going perfect. But Maxine's a steady hand. Sophia, just hardworking, dedicated, very loyal. And the two of you look younger now than when we came in. And somehow the rest of us look older now than when we came in. So I want to thank both Sophia and Max for what they've done over the years. And I also want to thank the other members of the city commission staff up there, the whole staff up top. And some are here and some are not, but I will tell you, the staff from our city commission, I think every one of us up here will tell you, we couldn't have gotten it done without Robbie and MJ and Tracy and Scott and just all those, and Jeanette. I'll keep Jeanette in your prayers, but we just had an amazing team upstairs, and so thank you to them. And then with that, 2 last thank yous. I will tell you, one is to all the city employees, and you're going to get an email from me. I sent out just about 2 minutes before we took the stage. We just sent it out to all city staff, so that expresses my appreciation and my admiration for the members of our staff. It's the finest group of employees anywhere, the 2,500 people that build community here in Fort Lauderdale. I have been so honored and privileged to serve as mayor, but as I said, I've been more proud to serve alongside of you all. You're truly great community builders, great public servants, and you've made this commission look good, so thank you to our city staff for an unbelievable work. And all our neighbors, thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve for the last 9 years. And many of you have been in my house district before that, and so I appreciate the fact that I've had the blessing and the good fortune to have 25 years in public service. And I want to thank all the neighbors that have contributed, that have volunteered, that have stepped up to make the city better. The one thing we see here in Fort Lauderdale, it doesn't matter if it's a CERT team, it doesn't matter if it's the volunteer group or a chamber, whether you're officially organized as a group or you're unofficially volunteering, the hardest working citizens, the hardest working neighbors, and the most dedicated and committed group of community builders are our neighbors. And you have made Fort Lauderdale great, and I thank all of you for giving me this opportunity. And my last remarks will just be addressed to the newly elected. And I've already addressed both Robert and Dean, but I will say to the three that are going to get sworn in, this will be the greatest job you've ever held. This will be the most rewarding job you will ever have. And this will be the greatest honor you'll ever have bestowed on you, because the citizens of Fort Lauderdale have placed their trust, their confidence, and their support in you. And that is a trust and confidence and support that is not placed without good cause and good reason. It's placed because they have a lot of belief in what you can accomplish. They have a lot of good thoughts about who you are and who is supporting you and who is behind you. And I think the three of you, in addition to the two up here, will make a city commission that will hit exceptionally new highs, that will just do remarkable things for our great city. And so I want to congratulate, I'll start with Heather, since you were the first one elected. She got elected very early in the process, but Heather, you are going to be a superstar. I have watched you for the last 4 months since your election, and your commitment to public service is second to none. I think you're going to be fantastic, so congratulations to you. Next is Steve Glassman. You know, Steve's a gentleman that's no stranger to City Hall. He was down there for historical reasons. He was down there for cultural reasons. He was down there on behalf of the Broward County Board. He was down there on behalf of city boards. And, you know, Steve's one of these guys, and he knows how I feel about him. Whether I agreed with him or not, I always respected him, because Steve was not a guy that was going to sit there and tweet or send out a blog post or send out an email complaining. He was going to come speak to you about an issue. And that is something that is so necessary in today's society. Somebody that actually has the guts to come and speak to you about historic preservation or cultural amenities, or what are we doing with the barrier island. And Steve, despite not always agreeing on every issue, and we've had some we agreed on and some we didn't, the fact that you always wanted to step up and step forward and make a difference, and now you're given that opportunity, congratulations to you. And my last remark goes to the Reverend Ben Sorensen. And I'll tell you what, and the reason I say that, I first met Ben because he would show up at all of our events, and I'd oftentimes call on him to do the invocation, call on him to lead us in prayer as we would start an event or a ceremony. And then I found out how hard he worked as a chaplain for our police department and fire department, providing spiritual advice and guidance, providing comfort and care to the family members and to those that serve. And then you'd hear from our firefighters, and they would tell you how wonderful he is. And over the last year, I've had a chance to just see Ben on so many different fronts and recognize that I think the comfort that he provided, the care that he showed, the compassion that he displayed, he'll bring to this city commission and be that guy that just continues to make the public feel good about the direction the city's going and make sure that we are on the right track. And I think you have a foundation in faith, and I think you have a sense of right and wrong that is second to none. And I can't wait to see you just step up here and perform at the highest level. So Ben, congratulations to you. So I'm going to ask at this time that I'm going to invite Commissioner-elect Heather Moraitis up. And I'm going to ask State Representative George Moraitis to come up. And these two will be at the center of the stage. I'm going to ask, we'll remain seated for this, and everybody will go through this. But George, as you come up here, thank you for your 8 years in the House of Representatives. Thank you very much for your service to our nation. George, as many of you know, is a United States Navy veteran and a gentleman that has just done amazing things here in South Florida for a number of years. And George, I know I've seen many times where she's been so proud of you, but today you get to return the favor. So with that, will you please handle the swearing in? If a husband and wife want to share a microphone, you can. I'm going to let you.
My microphone.
Okay. All right, place your hand on the Bible. Okay. I, Heather T. Moraitis,
I, Heather T. Moraitis,
a citizen of the state of Florida
a citizen of the state of Florida
and of the United States of America,
and of the United States of America,
and be employed by
and being employed by
or an officer of
or an officer of
the City of Fort Lauderdale,
the City of Fort Lauderdale,
Florida,
Florida,
and a recipient of public funds
and a recipient of public funds,
as such employee or officer,
as such an employee or officer,
do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States and of the state of Florida.
of the United States and of the state of Florida.
I, Heather T. Moraitis,
I, Heather T. Moraitis,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I am a citizen of the United States
that I am a citizen of the United States
and a resident of the state of Florida
and a resident of the state of Florida
and of the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
and of the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
and have all the qualifications
and have all the qualifications
as required by the Charter
as required by the Charter
for the office or position
for the office or position
upon which I am about to enter,
upon which I'm about to enter,
that I have not been deprived
that I have not been deprived
of my civil rights
of my civil rights
by a violation of any criminal law,
by a violation of any criminal law,
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
the Constitution of the state of Florida,
the Constitution of the state of Florida,
and the laws and ordinances
and the laws and ordinances
of the city of Fort Lauderdale,
of the city of Fort Lauderdale,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
perform the duties
perform the duties
of the office
of the office
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Heather. I can tell Dean's getting a little antsy. He leans over to me in the middle of that. He says, "We need to shorten our oath."
Yeah. I'm like, didn't I already say that?
Let me at this time invite Commissioner Robert McKenzie to go to the center and invite one of our local judges, Broward County Judge Cal Evans. Folks, take 5 minutes after this ceremony and talk to Cal. Great life story and a great lesson of what hard work and intelligence can do for somebody. But Cal, please swear in Commissioner McKenzie.
Do you want Orm, Georgia?
We thought you had that memorized after the last one.
Thank you for allowing me to be a part of the ceremony. And thank you for all who have served and all who are. I wanted to thank just Commissioner McKenzie for allowing me to be a part of this, for those who have served and those who continue to serve and who are newly elected to serve. And thank you for allowing me to serve. Please raise your right hand.
I,
Robert L. McKenzie,
Robert L. McKenzie,
a citizen of the state of Florida
a citizen of the state of Florida,
and of the United States of America,
the United States of America,
and being employed
and being employed
by an officer
by an officer
of the city
of the city
of Fort Lauderdale,
of Fort Lauderdale,
Florida,
Florida,
and a recipient
and recipient
of public funds
of public funds,
as such,
as such,
employee or officer,
employee or officer,
do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the state of Florida.
and the state of Florida.
I,
I,
Robert L. McKenzie,
Robert L. McKenzie,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I am a citizen
that I am a citizen
of the United States
of the United States
and a resident
and a resident
of the state of Florida
of the state of Florida
and the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
and the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
and have all of the qualifications
and have all of the qualifications
as required
as required
by the charter
by the charter
for the office
for the office
or position
or position
upon which I'm about to enter,
upon which I am about to enter,
that I have not been
that I have not been
deprived of my civil rights
deprived of my civil rights
by a violation
by a violation
of any criminal law,
of any criminal law,
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the state of Florida,
of the state of Florida,
and the laws and ordinances
and the laws and ordinances
of the city of Fort Lauderdale,
of the city of Fort Lauderdale,
and that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
perform these duties
perform these duties
upon the office
upon the office
with which
with which
I am now about to enter.
I am now about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. And I see a federal judge standing, but Judge, just so, since you're doing the last two swearing-ins, I'm going to have you go after we swear in Commissioner Sorensen. So with that, let me have Ben Sorensen come up here and joined by his mother, Donna Sorensen.
I, Ben Sorensen,
I, Ben Sorensen,
a citizen of the state of Florida
a citizen of the state of Florida
and of the United States of America,
and of the United States of America,
and being employed by
and being employed by
or an officer of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
or an officer of the City of Fort Lauderdale,
Florida,
Florida,
It gets harder, Ben.
and
Ben,
a
at this
rec-
point, you just say thank you, Mom.
Thank you. Whatever you say, Mom.
and a recipient of public funds
And a recipient of public funds.
as such employee or officer,
As such employee or officer,
do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Florida.
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Florida.
I, Ben Sorensen, do solemnly swear
I, Ben Sorensen, do solemnly swear
that I am a citizen of the United States
that I am a citizen of the United States
and a resident of the state of Florida and of the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
and a resident of the state of Florida and the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
and have all the qualifications
and have all the qualifications
as required by the Charter
as required by the Charter
for the office or position
for the office or position
upon which I am about to enter,
upon which I am about to enter,
that I have not been deprived of my civil rights
that I have not been deprived of my civil rights
by a violation of any criminal law,
by a violation of any criminal law,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the State of Florida,
the Constitution of the state of Florida,
and the laws and ordinances of the City of Fort
and the
Lauderdale,
law and ordinances of the city of Fort Lauderdale,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
and I will faithfully perform the duties
of the office upon which I am now about to enter.
of the office upon which I am now about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Good job, Mom.
Walk your mother down there.
Good job. Ben.
Okay, at this time, I am going to ask one of our United States District Court judges, John Olson, to join us up here on stage and have Steve Glassman, Commissioner-elect, also come up along with him. This will be the one time that you do not have to rise for the judge arriving on stage, I'll tell you that.
Put in your seat. Where's your seat? Right here. Oh, I'm in your seat.
Ben, come back. Yeah, stay now. This is it.
I, Stephen Glassman,
I, Stephen Glassman,
a citizen of the state of Florida
a citizen of the state of Florida
and of the United States of America,
and of the United States of America,
and being employed by
and being employed by
or an officer of
or an officer of
the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
and a recipient of public funds
and a recipient of public funds
as such employee or officer,
as such employee or officer,
do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
I, Stephen Glassman,
I, Stephen Glassman,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I am a citizen of the United States
that I am a citizen of the United States
and a resident of the state of Florida
and a resident of the state of Florida
and of the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
and of the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
and have all the qualifications
and have all the qualifications
as required by the Charter
as required by the Charter
for the office or position
for the office or position
upon which I am about to enter,
about which I am about to enter,
that I have not been deprived of my civil rights
that I have not been deprived of my civil rights
by a violation of any criminal law,
by a violation of any criminal law,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the state of Florida,
the Constitution of the state of Florida,
and the laws and ordinances
and the laws and ordinances
of the city of Fort Lauderdale,
of the city of Fort Lauderdale,
and that I will faithfully perform
and I will faithfully perform
the duties of the office
upon
which I am now about to enter. So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Commissioner.
Well done. That's smoother than me. So much better. So much better.
Congratulations, Steve, and I'll ask Steve to take Dean's seat, and I'll have Dean move out front with Judge Olson.
Now, don't embarrass me, Judge.
No more than necessary. I, Dean J. Trantalis,
I, Dean J. Trantalis,
a citizen of the state of Florida
a citizen of the state of Florida
and of the United States of America,
and the United States of America,
and being employed by or an officer of
the
the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
and a recipient of public funds as such employee or officer, do hereby solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Florida.
and of the state of Florida.
I, Dean J. Trantalis,
I, Dean J. Trantalis,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I am a citizen of the United States
that I am a citizen of the United States
and a resident of the state of Florida
and a resident of the state of Florida
and of the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
and the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
and have all the qualifications
as required by the Charter
for the office or position
upon
which I am about to enter, that I have not been deprived of my civil rights by a violation of any criminal law, that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the state of Florida,
the Constitution of the state of Florida,
and the laws and ordinances of the city of Fort Lauderdale, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mayor.
start a collection. Right? Let me just put this here. Well, they said it couldn't happen, right? I said it couldn't happen. Anyway, thank you so much for being here today. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here and for participating in this very momentous morning and occasion. It's truly a turning point in our history, and I think that we're going to see wonderful things happen as we have in the past, and we're going to build upon the past to build a better future. I want to thank each of my colleagues who have now left the stage and with whom I had served the last 5 years. It's been a tremendous opportunity for me to learn and for me to experience and for me to understand the needs of our community and the goals that each of us have set for ourselves and for one another. I want to especially thank Mayor Jack Seiler for his very warm and important remarks. I think that the city has grown tremendously through his tenure and his 9 years, and I think he deserves a tremendous round of applause for what he has done. These last 9 years, along with the other members of the commission with whom I have served, Commissioner Rogers, Commissioner Roberts, and I do hope Bruce is able to come home today and being in much better health. We're all sorry to hear that he had taken on a sickness. And also Commissioner McKenzie. I also served with Bobby DuBose, and it's been a real important time in my life that I've been able to serve with them and to understand the importance of each of the needs of our districts as we move forward into the 21st century. So their commitment to this city has been important, and I think that we will now be able to see that same commitment from everyone here that has now been sworn in. I congratulate Commissioner Glassman, Commissioner Sorensen, and Commissioner Moraitis for coming to being new members of our commission. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best of luck, and I know we're all going to work well as a great team, along with Commissioner Moraitis and Commissioner McKenzie. Thank you so much. I thank you all for the great promise that I think we're all going to be able to bring to this commission. And let's face it, this community didn't turn out today en masse without expecting certain things from us. So I think that there's a great amount of expectation, and I think we're going to deliver. I look at Commissioner Moraitis, I look at Commissioner McKenzie and Glassman and Sorensen, and I see and listen to them throughout the campaign season, and I think that each of us will be able to rise to the occasion that this community has expected of us. So, thank you. So today's the first day of spring, right? And we are at the dawn of a new day in Fort Lauderdale. We have such a diverse population. Look at the demographic of this new commission. We have the most diverse commission that this city has ever seen. Just look across the table. We should be proud of ourselves that we as a community stepped up and allowed this to happen and preferred this to happen, because this is the type of community we are. We have grown tremendously over the last several decades. Today we are a progressive community that looks and hopes for change and challenges that we are going to be able to overcome and achieve great things for our city. The city is poised for greatness and has the power to solve the challenges that face us, but obviously only if we agree to work together. And then when I say together, I mean not just the members of the commission, but the people of this community, the business community, and City Hall united. We have a wonderful working staff within the city. Over 2,500 employees help make the city as great as it is. So I look forward to working with each and every one of you, and I thank you for the commitment that you each have made over the time that you've spent within the city. But the people of Fort Lauderdale, your voice spoke loud and clear. There was a mandate, clearly a mandate, to tell us one thing. We need to get things done, right? Without sounding a little too much like our president, it was the largest turnout. It was the largest turnout in the history of the city of Fort Lauderdale. You should applaud yourselves. It was amazing when I saw the results coming in, not just in the primary, but in the runoff election last week. The numbers that came through, people are engaged. That is a signal to each and every one of us to recognize how our neighborhoods, our streets, our individuals, everybody has been so engaged and committed to making our community the best in all of South Florida, if not the entire state. I've never been to so many neighborhood forums, picnics, rubber chicken dinners. It's really, it's been an amazing experience being part of this campaign. I'm sure all of my colleagues on the commission will agree that we have a lot of nice folks. I've met so many nice people. I thought I knew everybody in Fort Lauderdale. Boy, there are so many nice people that I got to meet in addition to the ones I already knew. We have a great city, and I want to continue to be part of that city. So I promised during this past election that I would be the people's mayor, right? The people's champion at City Hall, right? You saw it written on the back of my t-shirts. It couldn't be any clearer. So the hallmark of this administration is going to be accessibility and responsiveness. As your mayor now, I will make sure that we collaborate more and listen more. We will demand the best from our professional staff and lead a progressive agenda. We are going to keep our promises to you. We're going to keep the promises that we all made to each other during the campaign. Because once you break that trust, you cannot repair it. And we will never break that trust with our people, right? And by the way, one of those promises is we're not going to have meetings past 12 o'clock, okay?
I thought
Or 11.
it was 11.
Heather says 11, okay. So, what have been our top priorities? Clearly, our aging infrastructure. We need to upgrade our water, sewer, and stormwater systems in a fiscally responsible manner. We never again should let residents deal with sewage spilling from manholes into their streets and yards. At the same time, we must meet the challenges as we face coastal community, the challenges of the coastal community as we try to deal with rising sea level and climate change. We really need to step up our game on that. Mother Nature is not slowing up for us. Flooding will continue to take place. Erratic weather systems are going to continue to plague us. We need to be much more proactive, and let's look forward to try to work together and make that happen. So let's talk about growth, right? Let's be responsible with our growth. Let's talk about smart growth. Let's talk about how important it is that when we do decide to build new buildings or new communities, that we integrate them in the existing community so it doesn't interfere with the quality of life of those that have lived here for so many years, right? Development must be sensible. It must maintain the character of our neighborhoods and not overburden our roads and our infrastructure, especially our infrastructure. You know, a lot of that hidden demon called water treatment plants and water filtration plants. We cannot ignore the fact that we have reached capacity in so many of these facilities that we need to pause where we are and and reflect on where we can go. Because if we keep building, we're never going to be able to catch up to the pace that we need to in order to maintain the quality of life and ensure that we can continue to be a viable and sustainable city into the new century. And has anybody noticed the traffic, right? Yeah. Well, we need to get people out of cars, right? So, but in the meantime, we need to be more responsible with how we plan for traffic, making sure that let's work with the county to synchronize the lights system, the traffic light system. Let's make, right? I'm getting there. And we know that there are solutions. So let's just, realize that we are going to work closely with our county counterparts and make sure that we realize how important it is that development and technology can work hand in hand in trying to solve these problems. All right, I heard someone say the wave. Okay. Let's all understand that the wave streetcar, as it's now been designed, does not fit in Fort Lauderdale. We need to rethink the idea of a mass transportation system consisting of rails in the ground and wires overhead. It just makes no sense for South Florida. It really makes no sense anywhere. There are communities throughout the country that first thought that this was the great way to go, especially some of the older cities that maybe have already experienced trolley systems in their early history. But the reality is we're in the 21st century, if you hadn't noticed. And there's new technologies where there are wireless, there are railless, and there are even driverless technologies that we need to take part in. If we're going to be a city of the 21st century, and if we want people to think that we are a progressive city and that we are here to meet the needs of everybody that wants to live here, we need to accept these new technologies, incorporate them in our daily life, and implement them in such a way that it makes sense for everybody in the community. Safety, public safety, making sure that you're not afraid to walk down the street at night or cross the street or answer your door. It's very important that we have public safety. We up our game on community policing. We must do everything we can to keep our cities safe, because that means a stronger emphasis on the community policing, as I said. And so let us pause for a moment and realize how important it is that public safety is our #1 goal in our city. We often take it for granted. And whether you're in a school or a shopping center, whether you're just walking down the street, we should never be afraid to undertake our day-to-day routine and not think that someone is trying to attack us. We live in an America that's different than it was 20 years, even 10 years ago. But we should all be careful. You see something, you say something. You hear something, you say something. But at the same time, let us all know that your city, with our police and our fire departments, all of our first responders are here to protect you. They're there to preserve the quality of life we have and to make sure that each and every day that we live safely, calmly, and with and trying to achieve the goals in our life for our families and our future. So Fort Lauderdale is behind you. Okay, so what is our economy all about? Our economy is focused on the marine and yachting industry. Tourism is obviously very important. Our real estate industry is robust. But we all know that there are limitations to each and every one of them. So for example, in real estate, if we keep relying on real estate development as one of the underpinnings of our economy, we're going to find ourselves pushing the envelope of trying to build more, build higher, build wider, imposing on unspeakable infringements upon our community and our day-to-day life. So while real estate development is important, and while real estate development must be fostered and encouraged, we need to also beef up our economic development department so that we can reach out with county organizations to make Fort Lauderdale a more diverse economy, bring in new technologies, bring in higher paying jobs, and allow for young people who go away to college to know that they have a job when they come home to Florida and that they can afford to live in the city of Florida and Fort Lauderdale rather than having to move to other parts of the state or other parts of the country. Our economy cannot sustain the type of expense that it costs to live here without there being some pushback, and we cannot afford it. We cannot allow this city to ignore the youth and the future because they are our future. With regard to the marine industry in particular, we need to be concerned about what happens at the Bahia Mar, right? I'm concerned that what has transpired with the Bahia Mar has perhaps jeopardized the International Boat Show. And while I know that we will reach out to the organizers of the boat show as well as the lessees of the site, we're going to try to work together and make sure that that property is a sustainable property that will allow the boat show to continue, that will allow the people of this community to take part in it and to be able to use it as the public land that it was intended from the very, very beginning. So, I know I'm coming between you and lunch, so I'm going to try to wrap this up. So on a personal note, I'm humbled that I have been elected to be the mayor of Fort Lauderdale, and I appreciate all the support that I received. I first want to thank the volunteers and campaign workers. I'll mention their first names: Ed, Verna, Murray, Tony, Bill. They all know who you are. Curtis, Jason, and there are dozens and dozens of others who were there day in and day out. I'm so flattered and impressed at the commitment and dedication that you each had to make this as successful as it had become. Also, I mentioned the diversity of this community and the diversity of this commission. If you look at each and every one of us, you know, obviously we're more than just a category. But if you look at each and every one of us, we each represent a huge segment of our community in a way that has never been represented before. And I think that that's a testament to you who have elected us to these positions. So let me just finish by saying that as your mayor, I will respect our history, respect our diversity, and respect the people of this wonderful community. We're going to make City Hall more accountable to the people, and I can assure you that City Hall will listen to your voices. In the end, it's how we treat those less fortunate that is the hallmark of who we are as a people. We're going to work with homelessness and make sure that those who can't help themselves have a helping hand here in our city. We're going to try to, thank you. I look forward to working with each and every one of you. I look forward to hearing from each and every one of you. I intend to continue my efforts to reach out as often as I can. My assistant, Scott, who has been a faithful city commission assistant. Scott, where are you? I think more people voted for him than for me, but that's okay. So what we have here today is a team, and we will continue to work as a team because this community demands that. We don't want to see bickering. We don't want to see arguments for argument's sake. We are going to develop a professional relationship so that we come up with the best answers for this community. And so as we now take this moment in time, this very historic moment in time, I want to thank you again. I look forward to serving you with honor and dignity, and I want to say that I hope that I can continue in this proud tradition of Fort Lauderdale city officials to make Fort Lauderdale proud. Thank you, everybody. Each of the new commissioners would like to say a few words, if that's okay. I don't think they've served lunch yet, so please have a seat. Let's start with District 1, Heather
District
Moraitis.
1. I know a lot of you all are hungry, so we'll decide who wants to stay, who wants to leave. We'll let you get situated. Sorry, there's 4 more of us, maybe 3 minutes each. We'll keep it brief, and we just want to probably really thank people. So Mayor, commissioners, family, friends, neighbors, thank you all so much for coming out today to recognize us. We're here because of you. You came to campaign for us, help share our story, and now we're going to bring your story to the commission. So thank you so much. I'm not going to talk about policy. My newsletter is scheduled to go out at 1 o'clock. It's about 5 pages. You can read it there. If you need more information, you can always call to set up a meeting. I just wanted to thank God, of course, for this opportunity to serve our city. I'm so fortunate to be surrounded by an amazing family, so I'm probably just going to mostly thank my family because it's so large. I want to give you guys a little insight into how you can run unopposed. It all starts with a big fat Greek wedding. So I was really fortunate to be married into the great Moraitis family, who I love so much. And they are a 3rd generation. My father-in-law, George, and Aunt Diane went to Fort Lauderdale High School, along with George and Allie, my husband and sister. And my mother-in-law, Karen, and I are so fortunate to be a part of it. Once again, we're 3rd generation, and we have like family in every single neighborhood. So I'm so thankful for them for coming out and helping. Then there's my family. I was born at Holy Cross Hospital. I have 13 aunts and uncles. They're not here in Fort Lauderdale, but they are close to me, and a few of them are here today. I want to thank them for coming. My mom and Barry, who are just my biggest source of inspiration and encouragement. I love you both so much, and thank you for being here. I want to acknowledge my dad, who passed away at 49. He'd be proud of me if he was here today, and I'm thankful for the hard work he provided for our family. George, my best friend, my wise counsel, my rock, I'm so thankful for you and for our, I think it's 23 years, it's a lot of years of marriage. And Alexis and Catherine, our 2 greatest gifts. Alexis is in Gainesville right now. She can't be here, but she was born bold and beautiful, and she's a strong woman who will make an amazing attorney. Catherine, our younger one, is here. She's about to leave us in a year, and she's the light of my life, the life of the party. She's fast and furious and will be a great naval officer. We're so proud of you. I just really want to thank you all. I've had the unique opportunity to serve for 4 months because I was elected November 13th, and during that time, I've worked with an amazing city staff. And thank you, Lee, for accepting me as the 6th commissioner and dealing with me and all my questions and phone calls, and I really appreciate how available you've been, and you've really helped me understand the whole process. Our fire chief, Herschel, Chief Maglione, first responders, we really appreciate you all too. Melissa, my assistant, if you can stand up. Melissa, yeah. So proud to have you as our newest city employee. And so you see her bright yellow dress. If you want to talk to me, you got to call Melissa now. I know a lot of you have my cell phone numbers. I'm just not quite, I'm a little bit busier than I was. So thank you all. I want to work with you. I'm here with you. I'm doing this full time. I'm here for really the entire city. So thank you for the opportunity.
And may I introduce Commissioner Glassman.
Thank you, Mayor. That sounds so good. Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, Fort Lauderdale. Actually, it's afternoon already. I'm sorry. Good afternoon, Fort Lauderdale. What a wonderful day. Yes. It's an honor to be before you, ready to serve. We gather in this historic theater at this historic moment of our city. And the metaphor is worth noting. Just as I'm excited about the change coming to this building, I'm truly excited about the change coming to Fort Lauderdale. First, I want to thank Mayor Seiler and the Outgoing Commission for their dedication and service to our beautiful city. Thank you for all being here, my fellow Fort Lauderdalians, if there is such a word. My friends and my neighbors, my beloved family, including my dad and so many other relatives watching and smiling from up high. They remember the crazy kid in junior high school and high school who plastered his parents' cars with candidate signage from so many political races. That kid was involved at an early age because he cared deeply about the world around him and wanted to be engaged, and that never stopped. Congratulations to Mayor Trantalis and my fellow commissioners. I'm going to keep this short now and to the point. We are a community of neighborhoods. Each one of us on the commission represents a unique part of our city. I want to bring us together. I want to identify new solutions. Look at this new commission. Things have already changed, and I'm enthusiastic about it. East of the Intracoastal, west of the Intracoastal, my district is diverse, a wondrous mosaic of people. I'm going to fight hard for my district, but not with my colleagues. We have had enough of that. The time for politics is over. Let's get going on the challenges we face to ensure that every citizen has the sustainable quality of life that we all deserve, and our young people have good job opportunities and a reason to stay. No more Band-Aids for their infrastructure. And go big, go fast needs something else. Go smart. We got into some trouble on infrastructure because we diverted our attention, and that's not going to happen again. Smart infrastructure planning, smart mobility improvements, smart growth that welcomes investment and respects our planning principles. That's where we need to go. That's what we need to do. That's exactly what we are going to do. Mayor Trantalis, I'm looking forward to picking up where you left off in this seat, and I expect strong leadership from you. And Romney, don't worry, I'll be here to kick him under the table. Commissioner Sorensen, Moraitis, and McKenzie, it's a pleasure to take my place up here with you today. Let's get to work. Thank you, everybody.
And now Commissioner McKenzie.
Good afternoon. I'll be brief. I think today is about the newly elected, in particular, our mayor. Today is your day. Congratulations to all of you. Round of applause. I thank God first. I thank my family. This is my third time going through this, and Dean, I agree with you. I think we're going to shorten the oath some kind of way. First two times I had a couple busloads of family members. This time, everybody was busy. But they had to hold a secret from me because my favorite cousin, by way of Savannah, Georgia, flew in last evening from Atlanta, Georgia, and they were sworn to secrecy not to tell me. And I was standing at the front of the stage early on, and someone said, hey, what you doing up there? And I'm like, I know this voice. It's my favorite cousin and his wife, Anna and Denise Curtis. My friends, extended family, the staff at the City of Fort Lauderdale, remarkable. They're the ones that make us look as good as we look. They do the heavy lifting day in and day out, and it's something you're going to learn when you get here. You may say, I'm going to do this and do that during your campaigns. You get here, you understand how the city works, and you work with staff to get things done. I think that's important. And it's also a lesson I'm going to share with the new commissioners. But I want to thank from the police chief, Rick Maglione, Chief Herschel from Fire, all the directors I've worked with from Public Works to Parks and Recreation, Utilities, and so on, and the charter officers. John Herbst, as the mayor said, a man of few words, but has a wealth of knowledge and finances, and I thank you for all that you had allowed me to tap into. Jeff Monterelli, hiding in the shadows, making sure we don't mess up the oaths or things of that nature, and certifying the votes. And I want to thank you for all you do. Started over in the police department, I think in a closet somewhere, and today he's our city clerk, so there is opportunities here at the City of Fort Lauderdale. Jeff, I thank you for all that you do. And Dean, it was 3 of us in my race, and I won with 54%, so I'm right behind you. Cynthia, our attorney's office, wealth of knowledge. I appreciate all that you've done and all the guidance you've given me over the years that I've been here, and I thank you for all that you do. Lee Feldman, the city manager. He is our chief executive officer. He runs the day-to-day operations. And I've learned that if you get with Lee, you can get things done. We didn't start off that well. So in the first year, I gave them all a pass. The second year, they had to meet certain marks. He didn't meet my marks, but we had a conversation, and I showed him my objectives, my goals, my issues, and in that third year, he knocked it out of the park. I want to thank my district. I want to thank the citizens in Fort Lauderdale. I want to thank my Fab Five. And I think you all know who you are, because if you're in the Fab Five, you know, and you're probably smiling right now, Stephanie, Jason, and I can go on and on and on, Chris, and I can go on and on, but you're in my Fab Five. I want to thank you for the support you gave me during the campaign. I want to thank all of my campaign staff, from Linda Boo to Stacy, to the Waterfront Boys, Ms. Simmons, sitting in the front row, my neighbor twice now in the city of Fort Lauderdale. When I first got out of college, I had the house 2 doors down from her, and as a commissioner, I have the house 1 behind, 3 up. And I've enjoyed all those years in Dorset Riverbend and Miss Smalls. What a treat. Dorset Riverbend's finest. I want to thank you for all that you do and have done for me. And I do believe I have another dear friend in this audience, Lorraine Mizell. Are you here? Just left? I'm sure Miss Shirley was with her, but that's my team. And I thank you all for getting me elected again. I also want to thank Judge Kyle Evans. I want you to stand, brother. Here are two people from the same neighborhood. One a judge, one a commissioner. And today is so special that we can connect. You swear me in, and we can show those that come behind us it can be done. To the staff that I work with in the office, and you all are going to get to know this, when these phones start ringing, you're going to realize who's who and who does what. You can make campaign promises, but when you get in the office, you got to figure out how you're going to get things done. But I want to thank the folks in the office, starting with Maxine, Scott, MJ, Robbie, Jeanette, and my number 1, Tracy Roach. I know she's here because she's texting me. And again, like I said, today is about the mayor. Today is about the new commissioners. I'm the oldest serving commissioner on the dais now. And that's going to come with a great deal of responsibility, but I do want to share a couple things. I remember when I first got elected, and all that I wanted to do, and what I said I would do, you realize very quickly that you have to work with a team to accomplish those goals. So I advise you to come out of the box with your top priorities, get them done, because as Romney Rogers once told me, you got to write them down, and you got to bring them to the attention every meeting you have, and up until he left his last meeting, he got his last issue resolved. So you learn a lot, and you can reach out to these guys. You can learn a lot from them. I learned a tremendous amount of stuff from Romney Rogers, and I thank you for all that you taught me. Bruce Roberts was often referred to as my wingman, and I enjoyed serving on that side of the dais with him. He is now gone, but I have a new wingman, or I guess wing woman, but we'll work that out, Heather. I look forward to serving with you. Dean, I've enjoyed every moment that we've had. And as I was sitting here today reflecting on the agenda, you and I both moved and seconded the motions, and then we voted in the same way. I hope this is a sign of where we're going in the future. Jack Seiler, he alludes to it all the time. He's my childhood friend from St. Anthony's. We played on the playgrounds. We shot the hoops. We also did the classroom work, and then to come back many, many years later and serve with him was a joy and a pleasure. Jack just has that magic. He just has that magic, and I think he led us thus far to where we are, and I think Dean's going to lead us the rest of the way. And again, Dean, I'm going to keep emphasizing that today it's about the new commission, and it's about our mayor. Jack, I thank you for all that you did and will do in the future. And anything you need me to do for you, I'll be there for you. And it would not be appropriate if I didn't leave you with one of my favorite quotes, one of my favorite all-time leaders, Martin Luther King, said, and none of you probably ever really paid attention to this quote. And his quote was, "The most dangerous things in all of the world, nothing's more dangerous in all the things in the world than sincere ignorance or contentious stupidity." We have run our campaigns. We have made promises. Now it's time for us to do right by the people and the citizens of Fort Lauderdale. We are public servants, and we need to serve. So I challenge each and every one of you to take my hand as we move this city forward on behalf of the citizens of the city of Fort Lauderdale. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Commissioner McKenzie, and now Commissioner Ben Sorensen.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you all for being here. Dean called the people's mayor, and I want to pledge to you, give it up for him. Let's give it up. Guys, I want to pledge to you that not only is he going to be the people's mayor, but this is going to be the people's commission. We're going to fight against traffic congestion. We're going to fight for the neighbors. We're going to fight for the communities. We're going to fight for equality. We're going to fight for those that are homeless. We're going to fight to make Fort Lauderdale a wonderful place to live, to work, to raise children, to live with significant others. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. You are part of the biggest turnout we've ever had in the city, but it doesn't stop there. We need you to continue to turn out at meetings, turn out at neighborhood meetings, turn out on our emails, turn out on our phones. Help us to lead. We need you. We need your brains. We need your passion. I want to thank a couple people in particular. I want to thank my father, passed away 7 years ago. Suddenly, he is thank you all for being here. We got great work ahead of us to do amazing